And he says winning at Talladega takes the pressure off.
We did a good job of kind of maintaining our mental stability after Texas, but so much pressure off whenever you can win in one of these races and one of the rounds, especially the first or second. It just relieves you. You kind of just feel free. So very relieving, that's for sure.
Alexis, are you impressed with Ryan Blaney's mental agility, I think is what he said?
Yeah, well, I think, to be successful at Talladega, you definitely have to have mental agility for sure, and good pushers. He had lots of good pushers and some Fords yesterday that really helped him, in Kevin Harvick and Riley Herbst. And so, yeah, it was a really great day for them, one that they really, really needed, because if not, it would have been possible that Penske would have been out for sure.
Jeff Hammond, I don't know that a lot of people had him making it out this far into the final 8.
Well, they've been so lackadaisical. I mean, yeah, they got the win here, but at the same time, they had not been the force that I felt like you needed to be to get this deep in the playoffs, especially to wind up going to Phoenix. And I'm still not 100% sold that he is Phoenix material.
Brad, you want to respond to Jeff Hammond kind of saying he doesn't think he'll be a player in Phoenix? I'm not trying to put words in your mouth.
Oh, no, that's okay. Here's what's funny. When we did our first 4 out, I thought a Team Penske driver wasn't going to make it out of the first round. I just picked the wrong one because I had Ryan Blaney going out then. So I might have to concur with Jeff Hammond, but you never know what can happen in the round of 8. I know. And Doug, I agree with you, too. He was okay in round 1, but literally that's all he needed to be. Like, we didn't really talk about Ryan Blaney at all in the first 3 races, I felt. And the one time we did talk about him was a very ill-timed speeding penalty at Texas, a week and a half ago. And now here he is going into the round of 8. But if you listen to all 12 drivers right now, by the way, who are still in playoff contention, hey, all they have to do is make it to the round of 8. And those tracks all set up well for them, and they can get to the final 4. Not going to happen for everybody, obviously.
No, those 3 tracks will not be the panacea for 4 of those drivers, as only 4 will make it to Phoenix with a chance for the championship. We've talked a lot about RFK racing this year. Chris Buescher has won 3 times. Brad Keselowski still in search of his first win.
We were up front there for a while, led the second stage, won the second stage. I felt good. And we got shuffled there, a few laps before the incident, and just trying to claw our way back in the third lane. The 4-2 pulled up in front of me, and I just gave him a push, and it kind of instantly spun out on him. So it's unfortunate. It's just kind of part of the deal.
Well, Brad Keselowski's still above the cut line, Brad Gilly, but not by much. +2 right now.
Yeah, +2 is going to be really tough considering we're headed to the Roval this weekend, and Brad Keselowski has not had a single top 10 finish on a road course in 2023. That's going to be a tough situation, and definitely something that they didn't need to have happen, especially in a Talladega race that, while it wreaked havoc on a couple of playoff drivers, it only did on a couple of them, not half the playoff field.
Alexis talking about Brad because you go in there thinking, okay, he's got to be one of the favorites. He'd won a half dozen times at Talladega leading into the race this past weekend.
Yeah, it was a missed opportunity for sure for that team. Unfortunately, circumstances with Carson Hocevar took him out of contention, and therefore he now is going into the Roval with, maybe not a must win, but certainly a must finish well. And as Brad Gilly said, it just hasn't been that way for him this year on road courses. So we'll just have to see what happens. But a huge missed opportunity for Brad this weekend at Talladega.
All right. Brad was talking about Team Penske. He said he picked the wrong Team Penske driver. The Penske in Team Penske is Roger Penske. Here's what the captain had to say about Blaney's win.
We're in a tight situation here. It was a huge event for us. We knew we had to execute. In this place, you never know what happens. You have the best car and end up in a wreck or something, but it's a tremendous amount of momentum it will give us in this next stage, and then hopefully we can get to the Final 4.
I just love the good ringing of improper PA. But anyway, there's Mr. Penske. He's talking about them being in a tight spot. They're not in a tight spot anymore.
Well, I think they still are. I mean, I think he and the thing that Ryan's talking about, the pressure situation, yeah, the pressure's off for the moment. He doesn't have to go to the Roval and perform. I mean, he gets by, gets a freebie on this, and gets to go to that round of 8. But the pressure's going to be right back on him again to be able to make it to Phoenix, because guess what? He's a lone soldier. He hadn't got anybody else there. He's got no more teammates to help him out. So I think that what Roger Penske is pointing at and alluding to is he had a past champion and Joey Logano who didn't make it into the playoffs. So, and still not in the playoffs. So it's like, hey, I got to get this guy fired up and get it going.
Do you think, Jeff Hammond, that teammates are that important with the races that are left in that next segment? You know, is our Las Vegas and Martinsville and Homestead, is it that important to have teammates there?
No, I think the thing is, once you get away from a place like Talladega, teammates are not really that relevant. And manufacturers, I was getting ready to say to Alexis' point about Ryan Blaney, he better go hug William Byron's neck, because if you take a good look at that last push he got across the start-finish line, William Byron was giving him the help that he needed to beat who was eventually disqualified, Kevin Harvick, back to the start-finish line. So I think that we're seeing the need exceed sometimes what manufacturing orders, turn into.
Sure. I mean, I think certainly that is 100% correct, but the Fords really worked very well together yesterday to get Ryan Blaney in that position. And oh, by the way, Ryan and William are practically family, with William dating Ryan Blaney's sister for quite some time now. So I think they have a special relationship off the track, too.
A lot of cross-pollination going on in the NASCAR garage. Brad, it was very obvious, and Alexis pointed it out, that the blue ovals played nicer with each other than any other nameplates.
Yeah, and there's not only strength in numbers, but when it comes to speedway racing right now, it does seem like the blue ovals have the most strength. I mean, you go back to Daytona, and Chris Buescher and Brad Keselowski were able to work really well together. Obviously, they're teammates, but it does seem like most of the strength has been coming out of that camp and what Doug Yates is doing over at Roush Yates Engines right now. But you have to do that. And I think on the same side of it, too, and this is going to change next year when Toyota brings in Legacy Motor Club, it felt like they were deficient. There was one Toyota that collected points in the first two stages, period. And that was Tyler Reddick getting one stage point by finishing 10th in stage number 2. So I do think the strength in numbers really showed up yesterday, and that balance is going to shift some next year.
Well, they didn't have the numbers at Talladega. They'll add a couple, as Brad alluded to, for next season. Yesterday, the social media platform formerly known as Twitter, now goes by the disgusting name of X, exploded about an hour and a half after the race was over with reaction to a pretty cool quote in post-race by Ryan Blaney.
Dale Inman pulled me aside one day, and he said, "Hey, you don't see the winner of the Kentucky Derby get off his horse and start beating the shit out of it." So,
well, there you go. So Jeff Hammond, that's why he does not do burnouts, because he doesn't want to beat the crap out of his race car.
Well, I mean, as a crew chief, I'm right there with him. I mean, because a lot of times when it's all said and done, there's body work and no telling what all gets torn up on a race car, for putting a demonstration on, which I know that the fans love, but it's not totally out of the realm of common sense of what he made. The comment he did make from Dale Inman making sense. You follow me?
Well, it's funny, Doug, because yesterday you had a post. I don't think they're called tweets anymore. You had a post on X yesterday where you said you thought maybe it was one of, if not the biggest win for Ryan Blaney, and he decided to do a burnout yesterday, which he very rarely does. So I wonder if, just the bigness of the event is what had an effect on him deciding, okay, well, I'm going to burn a little bit. I'm going to burn a little bit of rubber today. I'm not going to go crazy, but a little bit of rubber.
Brad, is it time to retire the burnout as the go-to victory celebration?
I'm okay with the burnout, but look, if we're going to set race cars on fire and different things like that doing it, save them for special victories. If you win the Coca-Cola 600, that's a pretty special victory. If you win the Daytona 500, that's a special victory. And I'm not saying that any victory is not special. Don't take me wrong there. But when you start going over the top every time, it's no longer over the top. And I like Ryan Blaney. So maybe a cleaner version of it, as I heard Barry Sanders once say, and I'm sure he's not the only athlete or professional sports star that did, but why he didn't celebrate for touchdowns. Act like you've been there before and that you're going to be there again.
Well, for Ryan Blaney, he hadn't been there a lot. He just passed Kyle Petty on the win list, by the way, with that win. Love you, Kyle, but, Ryan Blaney is the most talked about 9-time winner ever in the history of the sport. And I like Ryan Blaney. Like him a lot.
I think I certainly understand where you're coming from,
Most
but
definitely.
I think he's going to be around for a long time, and I think he's going to have a lot more opportunities to add to that win list. And we'll just have to see where he ends up, but I think he's going to have a lot more than 9 when it's all said and done.
I like Blaney, but I get asked all the time, who's going to win? And I will default to Blaney so many times as to who's going to win a race. And then, I'm left there going like, well, it looked really good before he didn't win. So go out there and win you some more. All right. That's Ryan Blaney. He doesn't use up his car doing burnouts. So we've established that.